What's up, people? Just a quick overview of our notes for our second language topic. And really, the second language topic here, quod and quam, are built out of the relative pronouns. Both quod and quam, we find out this stage, are relative pronouns. But we've seen other translations for them before, and sometimes in a story or a translation, it can get tricky to distinguish which use you should use. We kind of saw that with quam last stage. So let's start with quod, though. All right. Yeah, we were just introduced to the relative pronoun use of quod, but I say here that it presents double trouble because although we see this stage that it means which, we saw last year, and it was a new vocab word in the middle of Latin 1, that it can also mean because. So both of these are viable translations of quod. So when do you use which one? It can get a little tricky if you come across them in a translation. My best answer for you is use context. What does the sentence require? What is possible? We'll go over this when we do some exercises with them during the week. But you'll see that the structure of the sentence is one thing, but it's also just plug in one or the other. Know that quod can either mean which or because, and pick the one that sounds better. Now, the technical explanation for this is if there's a neuter noun for quod to refer to, choose which. If there isn't, it's probably because. Now, the issue is we really haven't formally talked about, though we've seen quite a few neuter nouns over the course of the book series so far since stage 1. We have here that neuter nouns often end in um. Think of how many vocab words and different terms we've seen that their regular old form starts with Vinum is wine. We learned that early in Latin 1. Donum, a gift, is also neuter. Going back all the way to Latin 1, we've seen words like cubiculum is a bedroom. Tablinum is a study. I mean, anytime the regular word for something ends in in Latin, it's going to be neuter. Another common ending, among others, I'm just giving you the basic ones now, is en. Nomen is at the top of all of your quizzes. The word for name is neuter. Agmen, new vocab word that means a procession or a column of people, is neuter. And so if you see a word like vinum, donum, nomen, agmen, etc., in a Latin sentence, you're probably going to pick which to go with quod. In other situations, it'll be because. Now, that's not a perfect little shortcut, and the context is the best way to determine it, but it is a little bit more structure for how to do it once you come across it in a story. Now we move over to quadruple trouble, which is quam, but the good thing about this is that we have already done and practiced quite a bit 3 of the 4 translations of quam in stage 14. So this stage, we also see that quam is a feminine relative pronoun. That was in the last video and exercise and set of notes. And it can mean whom or which, depending on what it's referring to. In class, we'll talk about how a feminine pronoun in Latin can refer to something that's neuter in English. We'll get to that in class. But last stage, we saw that quam can mean 4,732 different things, including how, as ... is possible, and than, with an exclamation, a superlative, and a comparative. I think we got really good at this, and I think we've gotten this down. But now we just have to incorporate another use. We also have to know that quam can also mean whom or which. And so again, use context to determine which translation works best. We practiced with exclamations and isms and arums and IORs for these other translations. If you don't see any of the above, it's probably going to mean whom or which. But the, again, more structured explanation for picking which or whom is only use it if there is a feminine noun in the vicinity of quam. The slave girl, Rufila, the sisters, something like that. If there is a feminine noun for quam to refer to, just like if there's a neuter noun for quod to refer to, you should pick whom or which. If not, it's one of those other translations. Use the context is my best advice for you.